Well, hello there, everybody. How are y'all doing? I see some chat in the chat room, and folks, just remember, none of us got it perfect, and you know, it's all right if we agree to disagree. It's okay. Just remember, we ain't all reached perfection yet. We're trying. So, just sending love out to everybody, love to everyone in this group. And I still think the group is good. Yeah, good vibe. So happy Friday. It's like I thought I said that yesterday. Time is speeding up. The world is getting weirder, and reality is broken. So I'm going to speak favor over us, because if the reality is broken, then the cool thing to do is to say, fine, I create what I speak. And now, if enough people say it and enough people really get into it, it's one thing to say something, but it's like another thing when you say in a single word, in a tone, and in a vibration. Point in fact, the other day I had to get off really quick because there was an incident taking place right in front of my house. And I thought that there could have been a potential fatality with what was going on. So I stepped out, and seeing that it was a young male and a young woman, and he was, obviously agitated, where he tried to run her over. And I came out on our porch and I said one word in a tone I had never heard: stop. And she immediately jumped. He kind of looked at me, and I pointed at him, and it was that vibration, that authoritative stop. And the situation changed very quickly. So, yeah. Anyway, much love to y'all. Nothing missing, nothing broken in our reality. Because then this one's broken, man. It's screwed up. I've come to the conclusion this one is not worth salvaging. It's corrupt, totally corrupt. The non-human souls, these are the soulless humans. They don't have a soul. Their essences is not of the same essence as others. And all you have to do is look at the world and the world history to realize that's true. So thank you for everyone tuning in. So good to see everyone in the chat room. Good to see that everybody's loving one another. Listen, it's all right if you disagree, and sometimes, it's cool. Acceptance is that, well, it's all right if it rubs you the wrong way. Just turn around, so then it then rubs you the right way. Yeah, if it was that simple, huh? We got a lot to cover. So thank you, moderators. Thank you, London. How are you doing? McLovin, I love that. S. Lee, Bonnie, and Scotty Boy, and I am Nancy. Hello, Linda Espinoza. Much love to you. Jargo, Joyce, how you doing? I saw others in here, Scotty Boy, and Jules, the person who blah, blah, blah. Well, Jules, here's the thing. You now have more power, more knowledge. I'll just tell you this. So if that is a concern for you, then you need, and hear me out, this works. You need to walk your property and then pour salt around your property, and no weapon formed against you. You know now that there are forces greater than ourselves. These forces can be manipulated. They can be altered. They can be channeled. So, dear, just telling you, hon. Yeah, you're a powerful, wise spirit. So there we go. Hey, Graham, how you doing? Thank you for the email. Just got that. Lost in Space, what's up? Good to see you. So I want to get right into this because if we meditate on this, not the hell, you don't even have to meditate. You just think about it. We're humanity, Homo sapien sapiens, as I am told. We are a genus of the tree of man, Homo, and there have been many other branches on this tree. The tree is not what we have perceived it to be, and because we have evolved to a place where we realize certain things aren't what they say they be. For instance, in my lifetime, for the greater part of my lifetime, I was told that this was the infallible word of God. Every word in this book was truth. It was holy. It had been sanctified by God, and by God, this was the truth of God. Well, then along came a bunch of archaeologists, and then they came up with this book. Now, this book is like this book, but ain't like that book, because this book says that that book is not telling the truth. But we're told that this book is telling the truth. Now, understand, this whole truth thing is all wrapped up in the enigma of a Hebraic religion that somehow deceived mankind and now is part of this ruptured reality. The story kind of losing cohesion. And then we come along, and then you have this book, which we're going to talk about, that says, hey, this ain't the truth either, but that isn't the truth either. Now, it tries to build off of these myths, these legends, these stories that we have been told as gospel truth. We are so deluded in our thinking that we actually believe that there is a magical character who's going to come back riding on a horse that's going to redeem humanity. Humanity is beyond redemption. It's just who and what we are. We're animals. We are at the higher end as a bipedal, but we are still an animal. That's what humans are. We know because of the human genome that we are in fact simians. Our ancient ancestors were in fact ape-like. Ape-like, I'm not saying they were apes, but ape-like. And yet today we refuse to accept that. We don't want to accept, although we love the gossip and the talk about, well, how the hell did the rhesus hemoglobin get into our genetic code? And then how is it that about 96% of our genetic code looks like the simians' genetic code? So this puts all three of these books into question because they build off of the same paradigm. Any part of that paradigm become non-relevant, then the rest of the paradigm collapses. And so the question we have to ask all of us, each enough, this is an enlightened group. Very smart people here. There's authors here. There's PhDs in here. I dare say it. There are priests and pastors here. Because you see, they see it collapsing as well. And when you're losing your religion, it sucks. So what is humanity? What is Homo sapiens sapiens all about? I mean, are we victims Are we volunteers, or have we been captured and made to be specimens? Because if evil is an outside influence and force, then we've got nothing to say about this. We're victims. There's nothing we can do. No book, no imagination, no nothing. You're a victim. Humanity is a victim to a greater force than itself. Takes that whole sovereignty question away, doesn't it? Certainly eliminates any of the idea of the construct of a free will. There is no free will. If you're a victim, you're lying to yourself. You're deceiving yourself to actually think such a thought. Now, if we're a volunteer, the thing about this Hebraic construct is that it would lend itself that we are volunteers. Now, if you're a volunteer, well, you've got no bitch. None. Hey, go, what's up? Because you apparently knew what you were getting into. Apparently there was full disclosure, full consent given. And so we as a species are along for the ride. Now, if you take a part of what we were just showing in the 3 books as a foundation of truth, then it would lend to itself to say that we have been captured. We don't know it. Some of us suspect it. A few of us actually have seen it, but the vast majority deny it. Now, if we've been captured, the question is, why? Why would an alien race come in and manipulate a primate for whatever purpose? Well, if we take the alien theory, then books like this, Marcia, it's interesting that you wrote, emailed me. So Paul Wallace, if you don't have his books, read them. They're a great read. Yeah, they give a alternative perspective. For instance, in his book, Escaping from Eden, and his subsequent book, The Scars of Eden, then that leads itself into this captured paradigm. And if you're captured, no matter how many generations have been in the mind worm of captivity, it's been proven that humans who are in captivity many times find themselves living very adaptably to it because they become to think that it's freedom. So, what's going on? I mean, do you really think that this is the tribulation? Do you look outside and look at world events and say, I think I read that somewhere. Now, if that is true, then we have no say in it. We either volunteered for it, we are either victims of it, or we're captured in a algorithm, a mind thought that's apparently going to play out. We've been told how it plays out, and how it plays out is that about 5 billion humans die. They're put upon the sacrificial altar. Hey, Scott Robinson, what's up? Good day to see you, my friend, from Australia, all around the world. So, okay. Now, remember now, this is all still based on this Hebraic spell. Powerful mind control. Powerful. So then you get stories, we've covered them here. I found this one amusing, the Morning Star's tale. I love the narrative. Problem with it is it's still based on this foundation of a race of people that I have no idea about. Because we read books like this where actually, we're into this thing about giants and the Book of Enoch. But really, those books are nothing more than a story by a geneticist. That's all it is. It's a story of genetic manipulation. And then you can get Robert Zephyr's book. I like his writing, enjoy his writing. They're real. And what do you do with it? It's so freaking ingrained into our thinking, this paradigm. Well, the devil's going to get you. Used to go to church, and I marvel as I look back now, realizing that there was as much glory going to Satan, to the devil, to Lucifer, than to Jesus, and then to God. Because the devil was attacking everybody. It was either sickness, it was either poverty, either something was breaking down, but it was the devil that was attacking us. Oh, brother and sister, pray for me that I can be strong enough to resist the devil. Well, let me tell you something, brother and sister. Give it up. You ain't strong enough. You're not mentally capable of resisting. You're already in a trap. But that's how the story goes. But it's yet true. More glory, more testimonies are given of Satan's power, apparently, than even the power of the Holy Spirit. So that's a narrative. It's framed this reality that you and I are in right now. You can deny it all you want, but it's everywhere. It's in everything. It's in the occult. It's in magic. It's in black magic. I mean, it just is. That's why I got a problem with it. I've studied Anton LaVeyan's book, but what if? Remember when I told you, and it's funny, I bought this actually from a library, was not a popular book. It didn't have a bestseller title onto it. However, this is one book that, well, you can't deny this. See, this is the book, The Beginning of What Was the End. The Beginning Was the End. Oscar Kiss Mareth. And it's how man came into being through cannibalism. Intelligence can be eaten. Now, the evidence is everywhere. This book, by the way, was written before we broke the human genome. The genome was still a mystery. But yet, he goes in here and shows how the connection is to the simian world. And as he points out, as you can see on both sides, doesn't matter what the pigment color of the skin is. We all have these creatures' blood in our blood. And no one can answer that question. You ask a Christian, you ask a Christian pastor or priest about it, and they're going to look at you and tell you that you're deceived of the devil. But yet, it's textbooks like these that offer a completely different story. Then that would say all of this is made up. it would say that we're the ones who made it up. We're the ones who made it real. It became so internalized in us, some distant past, that it's those fragments, those shards of memory that put us where we are today. And I look at the spiritual side of it. If there's a Satan, then I want to know where the son of a bitch came from. What are you? Are you human or are you not? If you're not human, then you're a fucking alien. They say the same damn thing to Jesus. Well, we know that character never could have existed because Satan doesn't exist, so how could there be an antithesis to it? But on the off chance, if you want to believe in that egregore, then it's a hybrid. It's a hybrid human, which subsequently we have found out that all people on this planet today are not human. There is no human left on this planet. Well, we don't like to hear that shit. No. No, we're all hybrids. I mean, if you've had your genealogy done, you know what's in part of your code. Problem is, they want that code. Never thought that having the code of an individual, a collective, would be so valuable and powerful. Why is it that nations of the world are in this frenzy of collecting every human's DNA? What are they going to do with it? Why are they using that into cold storage in the side of what they call the survival, the seed arc? Do they know something we don't know? I've contended in this channel, which will be 9 years on this channel, that it's not what we were told. Seems that there is something far bigger, far more nefarious, because I don't see a positive outcome in any of this. So in recreating our reality, well, as I wrote earlier, I said, you have to look at this and say, well, you have to, the existing one cannot be allowed to propagate. There are those in science who say that we are witnessing an evolutionary jump of our genus, where we're actually now witnessing a new branch of that tree appearing. Would indicate as well that if that's the case, then looks like they're making preparations for a new owner, or at least a new tenant. Noble Truth, how are you doing? Good to see you, Paradoxal Fossils. Encounter spacesuits, biobots. You know, and you know, it's interesting when we look at this. So what I wanted to do, I thought for the rest of this, we're just going to take a little excursion. So how many of you believe that there is a devil? How many of you believe that there are demons? How many of you believe that there is a Lucifer? How many of you believe that there's a Jesus, a savior? How many of you believe in the Hindu gods, the Islamic gods? How many of you believe in God? How many of you can define what your God is? But one thing I can tell you, that you already, in a sense, depending how you've defined the word, we all worship these thought beings, these egregores. Yeah. So let's have a little bit of fun. So, because it is fun. Knowledge is fun. Remember, our Wayne Steiger said, Ignorance is a self-inflicted disease easily cured by knowledge. I think that dude was onto something. So this is one of my favorite books. It's a good read. If you've never read Mr. LaVeyan's book, which he titled The Satanic Bible, you really should read it. It's a fascinating read. And it allows you at least to hear if Mr. LaVeyan in his time, I gather that, he would agree that this was most likely channeled to him by something. Well, what did this, because, again, as I have done in my Lucifer series, you can't show me in the Bible where Lucifer ever commanded one human to worship it. You can't show me in the Bible where Lucifer ever commanded a human to kill another human. You can't show me in the Bible where Lucifer actually did anything to humanity. But I can certainly show you the Jewish God slaughtering our asses all over the place. Our blood is everywhere. But anyway, this is a great book. I mean, it's called he was called the Black Pope by many of his followers, and I did a whole thing on this. Not going to spend a lot of time, but here's the thing. He as he wrote here, he worked in the carnival. He was an organ player. And so he would see all the men, chasing the half-naked girls, dancing at the carnival. And then on Sunday morning, when he was playing the organ for the tent show evangelists, just the thought that a carnival would have hookers and snookers. I mean, yeah. I might want to coin that. I don't know. Anyway, he saw these same cats, these same dudes with their wives and children, asking God to forgive them and purge them of their carnal desires. The real question is, well, then why do you have any desires at all? Carnal or otherwise. So he saw the hypocrisy. He realized that that's what the Christian church is on. It thrives on hypocrisy. I mean, how many of these lying politicians that lie? The Bible says if you lie, Mr. Politician, you going to hell. Ain't no Jesus coming to save you. And the Holy Spirit thinks your ass stinks and has done kicked your name out of the the book of life. Bye. But no. We'll see them when they have put this, crap on their foreheads as though that is rational. But they'll say it's irrational to worship Satan, Lucifer. Again, I get the whole motif that has been adapted by those who say they are, but let's get to be adults here. How can you worship a creature that has never commanded any human to drop one single drop of blood? You can't show me in an ancient document where such a creature commanded such a thing. It don't exist. And if it does exist, it's been done in the modern era. But no. So anyway, hey, LaVeyan was an entrepreneur. I mean, he saw a need in the market, and he went to fulfill that need. So the Church of Satan came out, and it's like, oh, you can't be talking about this. But here's the thing, and this reporter, the guy who actually wrote this entrance, he said he had considered all occultists phonies, hypocrites, or quacks, and he would never spend 5 minutes writing about their various forms of hocus pocus. He said, all occultists I met or heard were white lighters, alleged seers, prophesiers, and witches wrapping their supposedly mystic power around a God-based spiritual communication. I mean, if you say you're getting your powers from an angel or a demon, you better do a background check on them. You better start asking the real questions. What are you dealing with? You might be surprised if you look in the mirror, you're dealing with no more than yourself. It's been proven. Groups that go on these paranormal adventures, these night escapades, and almost all of them manifest something. Something boom in the night. Something moves, a shadow. Well, damn right they're seeing it. Why? Because you had enough creative power within that group. Now, that's exactly what they manifested, and the ethereal is nothing more than, I would just simply tell you, a mirror that represents back the individual. So anyway, read the book. LaVeyan has a story that is very much worth it. He was just a guy that looked at things and said, you know, now, am I saying that this cat was on the right track? I don't know. I never met anyone that, you know, do you really think a person named Matthew wrote a book called Matthew? And then tell me who wrote the book of Hebrews. I mean, my point is, you and I don't know. No one that we know. No one that's seen an original. So you can't tell me that it actually exists. They can't prove it. He said this, he says, though LaVeyan did not realize it then, he was on his way towards formulating a religion that would serve as the antithesis of Christianity and its Judaic heritage. It was an old religion, older than Christianity and Judaism, but it had never been formalized, arranged into a body of thought and ritual. That was to become LaVeyan's role in the 20th century civilization. And this man, more than any other man in the last 2,000 years, other than the egregore called Jesus, has had more an impact on humanity. It's a fact. John Dee had his opportunity, but it never came to anything close to this. Which begs to question, what was John Dee afraid of? Don't know. It gives his background. And, you know, and he simply said this is true. He says, I saw in his work with the San Francisco Police Department. So he was a photographer. He said, I saw the bloodiest, grimmest side of human nature. LaVeyan recounted in his sessions dealing with his past life. People shot by nuts, knifed by friends, little kids splattered in the gutter by hit-and-run drivers. It was disgusting and depressing. And I asked myself, where is God? I came to detest the sanctimonious attitude of people towards violence, always saying it's God's will. Now, folks, I've done enough on this channel to show you that the God that is behind this, there is no God of love. Not in these books. Unless you're telling me that there was an invasion of a new deity that took supremacy over the Hebraic so-called Elohim, Yahweh. Now, we're about to get into studying the demons. Well, they're all listed in Anton's book. You should read them. Because if, in fact, these creatures exist, then for me, it's time to start. Let's get, to tell the truth. See, someone's lying. I think the problem is everybody's lying. Very hard to find who's actually telling the truth. And again, you got to ask yourself, why would these creatures want to have anything to do with us? We're monkeys. We're simians. Well, we think we've evolved along well, if you believe that, then that means we're continually to evolve. This is deep stuff. And as we get into the study of these divine ones, I think JD said infernal divine ones, it tells me that they've got a deal that I don't want any part of. Because if this shit existed before we came along, I don't want their shit. Again, I am on the record for saying I'm tired of carrying their shit. It seems like these angels and demons, this God and this Jesus and the Satan and the Lucifer, it looks like we're the crapper. So when they're ready to take a fat, big dump, we're the ones they dump it on. Ain't no unity in this place. So I'm not going to continue because of time, but this is a book. I did a whole thing on this. YouTube only has, I think, less than 2,000 of the videos I've done. Apparently that's their limit. So I'll check to see if it's still in the archives. But this was a well-done series. You should check it out. Anyway, listen to this. I wanted to put this out. It says, deep into the book, it says, of course, LaVeyan pointed out to anyone who would listen that the devil to him and his followers was not the stereotype fellow cloaked in the red garb with horns, tail, and pitchfork, but rather, pick up on this, folks, but rather the dark forces in nature that human beings are just beginning to fathom. How did LaVeyan square that explanation with his own appearance at times in the black kraal with horns? He replied, people need ritual with symbols such as those that you find in a baseball game or a church service or wars as vehicles for expending emotions they can't release or even understand of their own. Nevertheless, LaVeyan himself soon tired of the games. And that's where I'm at. I got thousands of books. And I've come to the conclusion they're not worthy. If I'm going to worship anything, I'm going to worship myself. But I can't figure out why I would want to worship anything, and why would it want to worship me? And again, I don't want any part of their supposed war. If these are advanced intelligence and advanced beings, then obviously they got their head up their ass because they can't seem to figure it out. And then they bring their crap down here, dump it on us. Hey, we were fine hanging out in the garden, smoking the weed, drinking the wine, and having a very good time. And they come and teach us religion. So check it out. It's a good book. But to show you how far this phenomenon is, I've done this book. This is how we've been programmed. 666. Well, if you see 666, oh boy. Now I'm leading somewhere in all this, folks. So, Simpsons, known for it all the way across, the 666 syndrome. You know, it's, wow. Everywhere you look, you see, here's one, little Maggie, ringing up as a human, 666. And it's everywhere. I've done this one as well. It's proliferated. Why? Because it's inside of us. And we will purposely make it happen if it isn't going to happen. We can stack our own deck. And anyway, the whole thing gets into how it's everywhere. Route 66 that someone put up there is 666. If you eat at Taco Bell, if you looked at the Beatles, everything, you know, did you take worship? Yahweh Hove. I think that's Yahweh Vahe. 666. I mean, everywhere you look, you know, Monster energy drinks, 666. The logos, 666, all over. The Simpsons have a hell of a thing. It's in the healthcare of other countries, their councils, 666. It's everywhere. It's within Google. Google is 666. Why? It's the wisdom of man. Everywhere. In Walt Disney, 666. Everywhere. Vodafone, 666. Yeah, check that one out. Crazy crap. Here's Taco Bell. How many of you can see the 666? Yeah, that's why you like Taco Bell, huh? So there it is. I mean, it's not Fox News. Yeah, Fox News is a devil station. Don't think it's all about righteousness. No way. You know, it's owned by the same cats that own the other media stations. Everywhere we go, 666. Cadbury, they're selling lots of that stuff. 666. Everywhere. Coca-Cola, 666. I Can Just Pee, Procter & Gamble, 666. I mean, it is everywhere. So tell me what's going on here. Well, it's that constant thing. How about this one? The AMA, there's the old Carticus. But do you see the 666 even within the Carticus? And by the way, where's the other serpent? Crazy stuff. I mean, I can just continue to go onto this book. It just goes on. CERN. CERN is the embodiment of 666. Wow. Okay. And it just goes on and on. I've done there. There's Kali. She's the goddess. She's the goddess of destruction, life. All around the world, baby. Crazy stuff. I mean, this just gets into stuff. Again, check it out. We're going to get into study of demons. This would be a good book for you to have. It's the Encyclopedia of Demons in World Religions and Cultures. So, you know, I'm trying to figure this out. I had this conversation with a really cool person. I have to say, I was really just, you know, kind of going, yeah, all right, you get it. So there, Russell Crowe is coming out with a movie called, I think, what is it? It's the Pope's Exorcist, and he plays the role of, you know, the priest of exorcising demons. And that begs the question, well, when did the demons get converted to Christianity? Was there some sort of revival over there that the demon said, Azazel said, hey, man, yeah, I'm going to go with the Jesus dude, you know, all right, yeah. So, you know, wherever I go and my followers and, you know, all my little minions, you know, if they ever use the word of Jesus, in Jesus' name, then, you know, we're going to get up and move. And then I think, well, are there Christian demons? Are there Jewish demons? Are there Islamic demons? Are there Hindu demons? Yeah, there are. They all seem to either one of two things, be interconnected, interbred. You know what happens there with the gene pool. Or there are a whole lot of humans making up these characters. I mean, your religion really can't work if you don't have like the big hammer, man, and you got to have the fear factor in it, man. I mean, either, you know, man, if you don't have the fear, man, what are they going to do? They ain't going to be afraid of you, man. You know, you get it, man? All right. So we're going to get into this book because I can see my time is, but this is an interesting book. It's a beginner's guide to creating reality. This is the introduction to Ramtha and his teachings, and it's really interesting. Let me bring this in real quick. It starts out and it says, "And behold, there came unto me a sweet maiden, as you have not seen, whose gilded hairs," golden, blonde, "as it were indeed, danced about her." Now, think about that. What would cause a woman's hair to dance, to raise up? Well, I think they got a Tesla machine around there. Something's happened electromagnetically, right? Anyway, "and the crown that was upon her hair was not of lilies or of rosebuds or of the irises, but of an unknown flower. And of her drapery, indeed her gowns were translucent and mellow and free. Behold, she came unto me, and behold, she gave unto me a great sword. It sang, yet it took nigh, as it were indeed, 9 hands to hold its handle. It was so great." Trina, that would be like that sword you have, hon. You can take all 9 hands on this, right? That's a hell of a sword. Think about that. 1, 2. Almost sounds like they're measuring a horse. How many hands is it? It's 11 or 12. Anyway, this is what she said: "Go and conquer yourself." Wow. Guess that's what we're really doing, isn't it? Conquering our fears. Many of these fears have been programmed, inserted, but we grow our own from that which the seed we have been sown. Ain't that? Anyway, this is a cool book because, again, you have to remain open-minded, but it's another one of how to create in a meditative and non-meditative state of mind. It shows you how to go about it. It's like the Satanic ritual, how to begin to focus in on meditations. And it's the Eureka, everything. Many of you would like this, the Kundalini energy and the 7 seals. It's all within the workbook itself. And we are going to go through it, and because it's a cool book. I enjoyed it when I was reading it. "Know thyself, and you will know the universe and the gods." The inscription in the Temple of Delphi. I would have liked to have visited that place. Okay, I'm checking my time. I'll just get into it. Just a little teaser. It says, "Dear reader, the following book is based on the concept of an ancient mystery school brought into the close of the 20th century, an age which wallows in alarming materialism, where neither the church, imprisoned by its own dogma and political intrigues, nor science, locked within the confines of matter, know how to make individuals whole." Does that describe us today? A lot of broken souls out there. Yeah. Science need not change its methods, only broaden its scope. Yeah. And religion need not change its traditions, but rather remember its origins, the spirit and its primal significance. The restoration of the link between the visible and the invisible for the useful application of the omnipotent in our everyday lives becomes the new conscious bridge to traverse the abyss that separates heaven and earth. Such a labor is called the Great Work. The concept of Rotha's School of Ancient Wisdom is one of whose academy is being built as each initiate/student becomes the individual building stone. At the heart of the mystery school is what Rotha refers to as the void, one vast nothing materially, yet all things potentially, as Pythagoras referred to as the absolute. This is the essence of the uncreated being, the uncreated God, and nothing from which all potentials spring. The void is the great non-manifest from which the ephemeral worlds are made manifest. As the manifest worlds change and eventually pass away, the void remains unchanged. This eternal essence has been concealed from humanity, for man only perceives the things of tangible form, not knowing that these forms are combined with the infinite. Is it then possible for humanity to know what is concealed from them? Or, as Pythagoras asked, has anyone ever seen the master of time, the soul of the suns, the source of intelligence? Ramtha teaches that one cannot see the void or see the unchangeable, for to do so would declare a separateness from that which we effably are. We can only become one with it, and in this way define a relationship that results in the bestowing of dimension, intelligence, and essence to things of form. It is precisely this divine relationship that God, as moving spirit, is thus defined. We, humanity, are the gods that bring the harmony that exists between what is seen and not seen. Gets the hair raising in the back of my arms and neck. It's just, we, humanity, are the gods. And notice it's a capital G, that bring the harmony that exists between what is seen and not seen. Maybe that's why there's such a, call competition for us to focus in on a God, on a deity, on something that exists in multi-dimensions, because it keeps us divided, instead of turning that essence on the inside. When becoming or being the void, the student can begin to fathom the center of all things, and this the great work begins. And you see, for myself, this represents what it was so deeply ingrained into my thinking. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. I knew instinctively, I didn't know what to call it, but I realized that there is this void, this so-called darkness. And I'm just now beginning to just touch the fringes of it, but it's where we create. We do it autonomously. Each and every one of us have this ability to touch this void. And whether you call it intent, whether you call it meditation, consciousness, faith, whatever, it can and does take from this unseen substance, and we bring it into this reality. Now, there's obviously those humans that have been at this much longer than the masses. That's why they don't like these type of works coming out. Because God forbid, should you actually believe it? Yeah. The student undergoes initiations that bring closer the divine relationship by resembling the gods that work the fires of creation. I can actually see that. The work of the school is the combining of the scientific knowledge with the esoteric understanding of spirit, coupled with the mastery of things through will, thus mastering the personal storms that divide the individual against the unity that manifests God as self. Ramtha refers to us as the forgotten gods, an appropriate statement considering what most consider God to be, a magnificent that created humanity but remains apart and distant from man. From them, but same thing. Thus, forgetting our own divine origins and activities, which have themselves defined the term God. Gods did not pre-exist all else, but rather the void was first, eternal, an absolute. The void, through an unimaginable contemplation, created a principal point, which Ramtha refers to as point zero, 0-point energy. This point contained consciousness and energy potentiality and was the child of the void. Point zero was an invisible substance which contained infinite consciousness and energy, the primal fire that would form the energies of creation. This is the spirit, the essence of everything. And it is this essence which constitutes the definition of God as ourselves. We, the spirit, are the first principle embodying divine faculties. The metaphor of the mystic lotus can help us understand this more clearly. Imagine for a moment an Egyptian initiate lying in her sepulchre who sees emerging from the blackness of a starless night a brilliant point of light. The point slowly begins to open like a radiating flower, with its incandescent center unfolding and spreading out like a rose of brilliant light with 1,000 petals. We are the flower unfolding from the source. From that moment, God is manifest. We, you, and I. From that moment, we too contemplate and doubled the self into divisible substance. We now possess the active ingredient of consciousness and energy, represented in the ancient schools of thought as the internal masculine consciousness and the internal feminine energy. Thus, this perfect union of consciousness and energy forms the perfect union of generative reproductive faculty, which later would generate the world and the essence of God as indeed ourselves. It is this union that is responsible for the unfolding of God in time, dimension, and space. God, as ourselves, can now be defined as the human being, a body garment worn by God as spirit for the purpose of making known the unknown in the physicality of the three-dimensional world. The soul of man records this progress in holographic energy forms as a log of the journey. This blending of body as garment, souls as memory, and spirit as God, working in a distinct harmony, is what facilitates the creation of reality. The knowledge of this is actually key to life, from the constitution of the cell to the hypophysical constitution of humanity as God. The triad of the threefold nature of body, soul, and spirit produces the phenomenon we refer to as the mind of man, which constructs thought forms around which energy is patterned, creating the fluid of cosmic reality. Humanity alone is responsible for evolving matter held in earthly roots for the purpose of experiencing these in physicality and bringing forth all potentials from the void into a knowable experience. These creative thoughts bring worlds into evolution, removing veil after veil from the process of divinity itself. J.Z. Knight. Well, if that doesn't make you happy, I don't know what does. That's some pretty cool stuff. Wow. Okay. I mean, right along right there. I guess if you just tuned in for the last 10 minutes, there it is in a nutshell. We've created this. We've created these gods. We've created their motifs. We've created their laws. We've created their prayers. It's us. We play a vital role in this whole thing. We are gods. If we ever wake up to that, indeed, there will be a flash. Humanity's a long ways from that, but I believe we can do it. And many times it is the smallest of sparks that sets the field afire. We're all learning together. You have joined me for many years. I am deeply grateful for that. And we all seek the same thing. We all want to make this place a better place. But the old rhetoric, the old ideas, the old beliefs, they have to change. We can't prey upon one another and think that we're going to get anything out of the void but exactly that which we have already created. If there are, in fact, higher intelligences, higher deities, may they look upon the intent of our words this day, and may they join us in our cause. We serve no God, no gods. We serve each other, because the moment we serve each other, we serve ourselves. Many of the great philosophers and the peace, those individuals who have incarnated through this, is what they tried to say. You don't need a book. You don't need a building. You don't need a religion. Within each of us is that perfect image of God or a goddess. And when you look in the mirror, that's what it is. I love you folks. We can do this. We can. We've got to, as the old proverbial say, flush it down the toilet. It's time to flush that turd and all of its rank. So there. Rick says that does not compute. I get that. I can get that. All right. Thank you all. Mary Wins, much love to you. It said that I think we're still live. It says we're live. So Nina, I hear you. Well, thank you, Paul. We win. We do. I'm just reading some of these other comments. Hey, Grace, how you doing? All right, folks, think about this. If you want the book, the PDF, I'll be more than happy to send it to you. Because it is, to me, it's a map. It encompasses virtually everything that so many of us already have as our foundations. And I'm telling you, I see it happening with this group. Yeah. Okay. Well, Grace, thank you. What was that book called? It's called The Beginner's Guide to Creation. I believe that's right. Let me make sure on that title. Yeah, A Beginner's Guide to Creating Reality. Excuse me, Grace. That's what it is. Lost in Space, right back at you. All right, so Gaia, it is simple, isn't it? Yeah, New Yoda. Much love to you and Paul, by the way, Gaia. Scotty Boy, thank you, RF. Killing us softly. I like that. I like that song too, Roberta Flack. Killing me softly. Yeah, I mean, that brings you back some memories. Zoop. Nina says, check out her Sunday show on her channel. It's on Sunday. Do that. I think Robert has his shows on tonight. So thank you all. Hope this was worth your time, and we'll pick right back up on Monday, if not sooner. Who knows? All right. Much love to you.